What's going on YouTube? This is ParkerLad88 coming at you with another video. Today I've got a deck profile for you guys, but it's of a different sort. I do dabble in Force of Will just a teeny tiny bit in addition to playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Mostly and a teeny weeny bit of Vanguard. So this is my deck of fairies, but it's not just any fairy deck. So this is going to be my take on fairies, which is called King Arthur and the Fairies of Justice. I hope you guys enjoy. So first, let's go ahead and get started with my ruler. My ruler is, of course, Alice, Girl of the Lake, because she's the rule that you use with the fairies. She has a J activate cost of 8, but you pay 1 less will for every fairy that you control. And it's just any will to activate her. It's not any specific type of will. And when you J activate her, you get Alice, Queen of the Fairies, of course. Because she is a fairy, she has flying. She's 9/9, which isn't the greatest of stats, but when you activate her God Guard ability, which allows you to search for her regalia, it makes her much more beefy. Also, whenever she enters play, you recover all your fairies. The fairies have a lot of tapping abilities, so you can tap them all, and then after that, you put her in play and recover them all. You can use their abilities or attack them again. So she's pretty good. Next up, we're going to go ahead and get into the main deck. We start with, of course, our 2 copies of Arthur Pendragon, King of the Round Table. The big boss daddy card behind King Arthur in the Fairies of Justice, of course. So this guy is pretty nutty, because not only is he 12/12, he cannot be targeted or affected by the abilities or spells of Dark and Fire stuff. And he also has another nifty ability where when you tap him, you can give 800 defense to any of your resonators, but you're going to give it to this guy because any monster that can attack must attack him. And if they can't kill him, that means their opponent essentially loses their entire board. So he is our big boss daddy beater guy. Next up, we're going to start getting into the fairies. We run 4 copies of the Water Sprite. So the Water Sprite is our main means of getting hand advantage in this deck. When you put her into play, you get to flip over the top card of your deck, and if it's a fairy, you add it to your hand. Fairies are a swarming deck. It can put a lot of resources on board very quickly because of all of their low drops, but you can lose hand advantage kind of quick when you do that. So she helps you, maintain that advantage. Next up, we have 4 copies of the Flame Sprite. Flame Sprite is definitely, in my opinion, one of the best of the fairy of the sprites. So what this thing does is it has swiftness, and you can tap it to deal 100 damage to a target resonator for every fairy that you control. So it's really cool because during your opponent's end step, if you haven't attacked or anything like that, or if they haven't, you haven't attacked or blocked with this thing, you tap it, burn for all your fairies, then untap and you can tap it again. It has some pretty nutty plays with Alice as well, the same way. After that, we have probably the second best one in the form of the Wind Sprite. Wind Sprite, whenever you tap it, it produces light. And since a lot of stuff in this deck is light, it's really handy. I can use it to cast my bigger fairies with their awakened abilities. It makes it a lot easier to tap for Arthur, and it makes it easier to J-activate my rulers that cost 8. I don't use as many as my stones, and I can use my stones for other stuff. After that, we have 3 copies of the Light Sprite. The Light Sprite's okay. It allows you to gain 100 for every fairy that you control whenever you tap it. Life in this game is good, so it's okay. Then moving into the bigger fairies, we have 2 copies of Nemu, I think is how you pronounce her name. So she's a 2-drop that when you do her with Awakening, so you pay 3 lights, you get to add back 1 Protection of the Fairies from your graveyard. We'll get into that more later. She also gives 200 defense, an extra 200 defense to all of your fairy and J Resonator fairy type creatures and whatnot, so it's really good at helping your fairies stick around. Then we have her counterpart in the form of Elaine. Elaine lets you search from the deck and gives plus 200 to the attack of your fairies. So it's pretty cool. Next up, we have the Broke Fairy in the form of Vivian. Vivian is the biggest of the fairies. She is a 3-drop, 2 lights, and 1 void, or just 1 of any kind. She's 500/7, which is cool. The thing that makes her nutty is that you can tap her to play any of her 1-drops, and this deck definitely has a lot of 1-drops. So during your opponent's turn, you tap her, play your 1-drops, and then every time a fairy enters the board, you get 200 extra attack and defense to your fairies and your Jade Rulers for every one that you drop, so that's pretty nutty. And that does it for all of the monsters. Moving into the spells, we start off with the main spell, Protection of the Fairies. It's a 1-drop that says that whatever it's attached to gains +2/+2, so 200 attack, 200 defense. Also, you can banish it to prevent the next damage that would be done to any target resonator. So I put this on Arthur, or I can put this on any of my other fairies I want to protect, and it boosts them. And then I can, if something is about to kill my Arthur, then all I have to do is just send it away, and my Arthur doesn't die. This whole thing, I was like spitting some Therio with a couple of the other Force of Will guys at my shop who are much better than I am. And they convinced me to run 2 of this in the deck. It's just these 2 things together are pretty nutty. This right here is King Arthur and the Fairies of Justice. This and this, it's pretty bonkers. So next up, we actually don't run a lot of spells in this deck. We have 4 copies of Rewriting Laws. Rewriting Laws, it's free. It turns all of your Will Stones into Wild Stones to make whatever you want, and you get a free draw and you get to recover. So if you have 2, you tap them for this, they make whatever you want, you get a free draw, and you can do whatever you want after that. It's pretty nutty. It's like an upstart goblin in Force of Will that you kind of have to pay 2 for, but you really don't. Next up, we have 3 copies of Cake Zone. You know, this is primarily a wind engine deck, even though I run a lot of light in this deck, but, you know, Cake Zone helps you negate stuff. I'm going to replace these with Keen Senses eventually, since I've heard that this is going out of circulation soon. So, that does it for all of the spells. Moving into my regalias, I have 3 copies of Excalibur, the Spirit God Sword. This is the regalia that goes with Alice the Fairy Queen, of course. This one right here. Whenever you play her God's Art ability, you search for this. So this thing is pretty handy because it lets me cast any will towards the summon of the fairy. So once again, I don't have to use my stones or anything like that. And then this gives 100 extra attack to my Jade Ruler for every resonator I control. So not just my fairy, it's just anyone that I control. And when you stack this card's pretty nutty. Then the last regalia that we run are 3 copies of the Levitating Sword. So the only reason why I run this is because with as big as Alice can get off of, you know, the fairies and the sword, I want to be able to, you know, swing with her right away. So this gives me swiftness, and, you know, the extra 200 damage that I can deal off it is also pretty nice too. So that does it for the regalias. So let's go ahead and get into the stone count next. I run 4 copies of Fairies Memoria. Fairies Memoria, just like the regalia, I can tap it in order to make any will towards the, you know, summon or the conjuring, whatever you want to call it, of a fairy. It produces light on its own, and then it has another nifty ability, which I actually didn't see initially, which says that you can tap it with an extra light in order to give a fairy resonator an extra 200 attack and defense. So that's a pretty handy ability. And because we're running a lot of light, but it is a wind engine, we run the light windstone, you know, Cake Zones and Rewriting Laws, all that fun stuff, and still have plenty of light to use. And then, because the Flame Sprite is the best, we have a little bit of red-green, we have a basic green, and then we also have the Beasting Stone, since we are running a green engine. Gives me a little extra protection for my resonators if people try to blow them up or other crazy things like that. And that does it for my stone count. So guys, this was my take on Alice and, you know, the Fairy Queen and the rest of the fairies, which I call King Arthur and the Fairies of Justice. Let me know what you guys think. Maybe you Force of Will guys out there can, you know, add more insight or, you know, whatever the heck, because, I mean, I'm just starting playing this game, and I understand some things about it, but, you know, let me know what you guys think, and I hope you enjoyed this deck profile. And I'll be back at you later with future videos. This is ParkerLad, out.